Hello and welcome to my video. Today I'm going to be talking about NHK TV world drama Kitaro Witnesses Our Noble Death, Kitaro ga mita Gyokusai, analyzing the background of the drama making and its main messages and also devices. Before we dive in, quick disclaimer, this video is not made for a commercial or specific political purposes. All content provided in this video are for academic purposes only. Just make sure. Alright, let's begin with brief explanation of the work. Kitaro Witnesses Our Noble Death is a world drama created by NHK Nagoya Broadcasting, which is a regional station of Japanese public broadcasting, and based on a comic Onward Toward Our Noble Death, Japanese title Soin Gyokusai Seo, by a manga artist Mizuki Shigeru. The TV drama narrates how a famous manga artist Mizuki Shigeru drew up a comic based on his own war experience. During the Second World War, a protagonist, fictionalizing Mizuki himself, was called up and sent to Rabaul on New Britain Island, and then joined the Zungen detachment in the front line of the battlefield. A captain commander orders the protagonist and other soldiers to die in the battle with other soldiers, so-called Gyokusai mission. Survivors of the battle, including the protagonist, are blamed by the headquarters for not having died in the mission with other soldiers. As for the reputation of drama, the massacre is quite good. It has received several awards in Japan, such as National Arts Festival and Galaxy Award. Also, a DVD of the drama was released in 2008, but internationally, not so much. NHK has not yet broadcasted the drama overseas. That's not well known outside Japan. Yet, considering that another world drama created by NHK Nagoya has got 2 international awards, Kitaro Witnesses Our Noble Death cannot be said to have internationally acclaimed. Regarding the original comic by Mizuki, it's been critically acclaimed both domestically and internationally. The comic has been translated into other languages. Of note, it's been published in Taiwan and South Korea as well. That means Mizuki's original work has reached far more readers beyond the language barrier and has been more reviewed overseas. Speaking of which, the author Mizuki is primarily known as a yokai manga artist who lost the left arm in the war. Besides, he has published a number of works dealing with the Second World War, from the stories based on his own experience to this mustache. Oh, by the way, for those who don't know who Kitaro is this little yokai boy from Mizuki's manga series Gegege no Kitaro. The story of the drama takes place on the New Britain Island on today's Papua New Guinea. Rabaul, which was previously Australian territory, was captured by Japanese military in 1942. Following the event, Japanese soon established a strategically crucial military and naval base on the island. A strategy that the Allied forces took was to isolate the Japanese forces on the island by cutting off the resupply from the outside of the island. As the war towards the end, Japanese forces came to suffer from insufficient equipment, insufficient food, and continuous air raid attack from the Allied forces. More information about the situation is available from NHK archive. Mizuki and some other testimonies who were on the island are speaking about how hard the sufficient life was, and how harsh the condition in the jungle was. The drama shows soldiers eaten by crocodiles, suffering from disease, and injured in an accident at construction sites. The testimonies have proved that these scenes are historically accurate. But the meta tragedy depicted by the drama is gyokusai. It literally means shuttling like a duel, which suggests a death in the battle under the name of novel death. Mizuki and his colleagues in Dungan Detachment were ordered to fight bravely and die under the name of novel death in the hopeless battle. This mission emphasized the importance to die in the battle rather than to win the battle. This is obviously not effective strategy. However, it was believed to rebuild high spirit among soldiers to fight bravely against the fear of death. The mission was forced regardless of the individual soldier's will. Thus, it was not voluntary mission. What is worse, while the general quarter admired the commander and the soldier who died by achieving the mission, the survivors, like Mizuki, were harshly blamed for not having accomplished the mission as cowards or even traitors. Eventually, two surviving military officers were executed, and the surviving sergeant committed suicide to save other lives. Again, the testimonies have narrated these stories at NHK Archives, so for more information, please refer to it. Since information about the clear motivation for the drama making was nowhere to be found, we are going to speculate it from available information in this chapter. In Japan, the 2000 was when the population who experienced the war was aging and significantly declining. Also, the author of the original comic, Mizuki, died in 2015, about 8 years after the first broadcast of the drama. Moreover, the time period was marked by rising revisional views of the war. The repeated visits to Yasukuni Shrine by Prime Minister Koizumi since 2001 became controversial both inside and outside of Japan. NHK had shown its concern about the course of such events. In 2005, they broadcasted a program dealing with Yasukuni issue. In 2007, the year of the first broadcasting of the drama, NHK started recording interviews for war testimonies and put the contents on the air. Besides, the drama was not just based on the original comic, but also on interviews with Mizuki as an author and one of the most significant testimonies. The drama has been repeatedly broadcasted by NHK. 2022 is a particularly remarkable year as the 100th anniversary of Mizuki's birth. The first rebroadcasting since 2016 was welcomed by many fans. Even though the main actor Kagawa's scandal were revealed and his TV programs and commercials were pulled off in the same year. Nevertheless, this war drama had ever more significant meaning in this year because of, not to mention, the outbreak of this war. NHK actually emphasizes this point on its official webpage about its war-related programs. In this chapter, we are going to break down the key messages of the drama. The first key message is this. What happened in the war was extremely terrible, and it is necessary for those who were born after the war to know the history. In order to understand what this drama wants to tell us, we need to look into an official NHK webpage. NHK Archive wants and shares audience comments on their dramas. It is namely audience comments, but the guideline for posting comments states that NHK staff will select and amend the comments to show them on their webpage. So, it is in fact virtually NHK's comments. Those comments drive home that point that this drama will be watchable for young generations, including kids, in particular so-called don't care, don't know people in Japan. Another key message is that most of those in lower position in the army and fighting in the front line didn't want to die, in notable contrast with the claims of many conservatives and nationalists. For example, Farewell Rebel is a film about a romance between a nurse and a brave, skilled senior pilot of Japanese Air Force. And another example is Rabao Kouta, which is quite well known as a popular military song during the war. But the focus of Kitaro Witnesses Our Novel Death is in contrast unmotivated junior soldiers such as Private Mizuki himself. They were not willing to sacrifice their lives for the sake of the nation, nor did they hope to win the war. Further, the unmotivated protagonist complains about the military commands on a daily basis. A song sung in this drama several times is not Rabao Kota from the previous slide, but a prostitute song, which laments hard work and life. Moreover, the drama criticizes the high-rank soldiers who ordered gyokusai and who don't care about the misery of those fighting in the front line of the battle. Especially, general officers are criticized for being raised around. Therefore, the drama might be implying that the Japanese soldiers who die on the island won't become glorious spirits, and their death was not noble death. However, here's a catch. The drama doesn't claim that their death was meaningless by any means. Their message is like this. By telling their stories to post-war generations through the comic and drama, their death could prevent another tragedy, and their souls will be finally salvaged by this. In this chapter, we are going to look into the devices set in the drama. First off, we need to consider NHK official guideline to understand the devices. According to the guideline, too much violent and sensual scenes are not allowed to appear in their dramas. When it comes to the range of expression, it may seem to be a disadvantage compared to commercial broadcasting. However, this restriction rather makes the film watchable for a broad audience. Usually, grotesque scenes are hard to watch and alienate many people from a world drama, which consequently make don't care, don't know people. However, they have successfully created captivating world drama by inserting humor scenes at some points and by substituting some upsetting scenes with moderate expressions. Repeated exotic symbols are also a crucial part of the drama. Instead of nationalistic symbols, which often appear in patriotic dramas and films, this drama emphasizes quite opposite ones. In the beginning part, it highlights Mizuki's re-encounter with the local tribes and his respect towards their culture. Throughout the whole story, exotic symbols, which are characteristic of the island, play an important role. The next two devices are non-obvious ones that many audiences might not realize. The first one is about the very brief mention of a comfort station. There is a short scene where a protagonist and his close friend are enjoying a casual chat in a jungle. However, they used a slang term, piya, meaning comfort station, among Japanese soldiers at that time. Besides, the content of the conversation doesn't address how the overall impression about the station was, nor does it address the condition of the woman. The other point, which might be hardly noticeable to many audiences, is the absence of names of specific nations or ethnicities. For example, the first air bomb attack shown up in the drama was conducted by Australians, but there is no reference to who or which country did it. Further, in the original comic, an American soldier terminated the life of the wounded, dying protagonist, yet the drama does not address who gave a final death blow to him or nor does it show the scene. Likewise, comfort women never appear in the drama, so many audiences would not think about their nationalities or ethnicities. The question is why the drama doesn't clearly explain these things. One of the possible reasons for this would be because these things reflect how the Japanese soldiers in the lower positions on the island saw the war. Unlike those in higher positions, such as captain commanders or military staffs, those in lower positions wouldn't grasp a big view of the war and even the circumstances around them. Or it may be just that the creators of the drama or NHK wanted to avoid those historical narratives, which would be most likely controversial once it's broadcasted. In other words, an institutional reason. If you have any other ideas, please let me know in the class or comment down below.
In conclusion, the drama can be put on the left in terms of political spectrum, considering the main messages, yet it very touches on the historically complicated issues to the point that most audiences would not realize them. Therefore, the drama could be said to be a mere introduction to the discussion over the war. In order to understand the story more deeply, it is necessary to read the original comic or look into other sources, such as literatures by Matsuda Yoshinori. By the way, it seems the DVD of the drama contains drama making and interview with Mizuki, so it may shed some light on the motivation to make the drama if you buy and watch it. Alright, that's all for me, and thank you for watching this video up to the very end. And you don't have to subscribe to my channel or smash a like button, but I'm really looking forward to your comments, and yeah, that's pretty much it. See ya!